Welcome back to the New Dawn, your cutting edge breakfast show that is each and every weekday here on Kiona TV, the one, the only for those who are catching us on Azam TV. We are on channel 398 as well as on digital terrestrial television on channel 803. That is where we are as Kiona TV, and each and every day here on the New Dawn, we make it a point that we take you through what is happening and as far as the preparations towards the 2023 harmonized elections are concerned. And it is about time that we have a discussion pertaining to women's participation in politics. And with me in studio is a representative from Women's Institute for Leadership Development. Her name is Lorraine Phiri. Beautiful viewers at home, help me welcome in studio Lorraine Phiri. Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning, Dudu.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making a time for us as Kiona TV. To start off the discussion of the day, I want to understand what it is that you do at WILD.
Okay, so my name is Lorraine Phiri. I am a Media and Communications Officer for the Women's Institute for Leadership Development, in short, which is WILD. My role at WILD is to increase the visibility of projects, of ongoing projects and completed projects that are aimed at promoting women's rights as well as leadership development, mostly to inform, to engage and to empower women and youth to be active change makers in their social, economic development.
All right, thank you so much, Lorraine, for that. So let's just get into the gist of the conversation. So as an organization, how has WILD been advancing women's participation?
So as the Women's Institute for Leadership Development, we are a women's rights-based organization. Our role has been to capacitate women with personal and organizational skills to help them to effectively lead when they are elected into public office, as well as to be able to lobby and to advocate for their rights outside.
Okay. Right.
So we have been able to do that through the WILD Mentorship School. It has actually resulted to some of the women being elected into offices, into the public office as member of parliaments as well as councillors.
All right, quite interesting right there. So what's your analysis in terms of the uptake of women's participation in politics in Zimbabwe?
Women are coming forward to actually take up leadership positions in Zimbabwe. But then the number of women that are being elected out of the quota system is not satisfactory.
All right.
It actually calls for a lot of stakeholders to actually come in and sort of like promote and enhance women's political participation in terms of political processes. Because if you look at the numbers, you see that women are still, the numbers of women are still lagging behind compared to those of men that are actually taking up political positions. And
then in your opinion, why is it important for society to address the issue around women's participation?
It is important because at fundamental level, we cannot actually talk about democracy without the largest demography being involved, without women voices being heard.
Right.
So what we are looking at is we are calling upon like different stakeholders to actually enhance increased participation and representation of women in political life, because we say that it contributes to informed, balanced and comprehensive decisions that actually lead to responsive policies within the country.
Quite interesting right there, Lorraine. But let's try and narrow it down to nomination court. We know that on the 21st of June, nomination court sit across the country. In terms of the numbers of women who did manage to file their papers, what was it like in your analysis as an organization? So
in our analysis, we realized that some women were able to file their papers within the nomination court.
All right.
However, you realize that most of the candidates were in the quota system.
All right.
and they were not directly elected through the primary elections.
And then what does it mean?
What it means that most political parties are not advancing women's political participation. So you find that women are being relegated to the quota system and not given the same equal opportunities as men are given within political parties to actually contest directly as candidates.
All right, Lorraine. So if you're saying that political parties are not advancing women's participation in politics, whose problem is it?
The problem is that political parties are not actually adhering to Section 17 of the Constitution. Section 17 of the Constitution actually calls for equal participation of men and women. It also calls, if you also look at the Section 67, women have got the same civil and political rights as same as men, right. But then you find that the status quo has always been patriarchal.
All right.
So you find that it becomes difficult for women to be given true opportunities to actually advance their aspirations as political leaders. So when you look at political parties are sort of like a gateway for women to sort of get into elected office.
All right.
They are a critical entry point for women to be elected into public office. But if there are no mechanisms that actually promote them to actually be involved and to actually be given the same opportunities as their male counterparts, it means that they can never be able to also contest equally like their male counterparts.
All right, thank you for that one, Lorraine. But you did highlight earlier on that more women are being elected, or rather they are being put forward through the quota system. How does that present problems for women's participation in politics?
So if you look at what scholars have actually said, that women that are put in quota system or under proportional representation are not actually afforded or accorded the same respect as their counterparts that have been elected through the ballot box. So you find out that there have been this term of women being called Bakosi, whereby their participation within the parliament is viewed as you are being done a favor, not out of merit, so which actually makes them less visible or makes it hard for them to actually participate and represent different priority issues that concern women, that concern marginalized groups and communities at the same level as those that have entered through direct election.
But they are already in parliament. How does it affect them not being able to represent the issues of those in the constituency? They're already in parliament. They're supposed to be speaking up, saying out the issues that are happening on the ground. So what stops them from doing that if they're already in parliament?
So I think, as I was saying, that they are not afforded the same respect. I think it now boils down to the individual level that it could actually affect their confidence in terms of pushing a motion, because they feel like they do not have the same power, or they are not as equal as those that that were elected through direct election.
All right, thank you for that one, Lorraine. So what are the solutions that you feel will aid or will improve women's participation in politics in Zimbabwe?
So as WORLD, I think in our state press release that we've actually released, we are actually calling for increased representation and participation, right? So we're saying that it is not only a woman's organization responsibility only, but we are calling upon the broader Zimbabwean community, civil society organization. We are calling upon the government to actually make sure that the Constitution Section 17 is actually adhered to. So we are lobbying for equal representation of women in political processes, in institutions, in government institutions, who are saying that let's increase women's participation, let's not leave women in the margins of decision making. We're also calling on political parties to actually introduce policies that actually advance and create equal opportunities for both women and men to actually participate equally and at an equal level. So we're saying that if there are policies can actually create an even playing field for both men and women. We are also calling for reasonable nomination fees that allow women to also be able to campaign, because we are saying the women, the biggest challenge is that women do not have the resources to actually campaign, to increase their visibility, to as well as to reach out to communities. So which makes it hard for them to actually campaign and have an equal status of campaigning with men that already have resources.
All right, thank you so much for that one, Lorraine. That is Lorraine Phiri, representing Women's Institute for Leadership Development as the Social Media and Communications Officer, speaking at length around issues to do with women's participation in politics. Right, it's been fun, it's been interesting, and thank you so much, Lorraine, for making time for us as
Thank you
TV.
so much.
It's been a pleasure, but we have come to that time where we have to end the show. But do join us after these messages as we wrap up the New Dawn. The one, the only.
Oh,